So welcome back to our studio. If you weren't here last time, I'm Elling Hamso from ROI Institute. And we've grabbed one of our speakers, just came out of the auditorium, Christoph Rodonat. Yes. Did I say that correctly? Rodonat?
Rodonat or Rodonat, yes.
That's what? French?
Yeah, it's a Huguenot name. Originally went over to Prussia, became German. So yeah.
So you're German?
I am German by passport, yes.
Okay. I think you, oh, by the way, I must say I did enjoy your presentation. It was very, very good. I must say when I read the bump, it does rather seem like a contradiction of terms, because it says you're a specialist, but you're a specialist in change and reputation management, organizational social responsibility, and leadership development. That's some specialization, isn't it?
It is, yes. I mean, although a lot of these factors, of course, flow together into one.
And you speak on pricing, it doesn't you say pricing?
Yes, absolutely.
And your education goes along with it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I think the first time I've seen someone said, and he holds several degrees in social psychology, law, economics, and doing an MBA now in reputation management. You like studying? I do very much, in fact.
I don't know what I would do without it, actually. It fills my days.
Well, you're obviously someone who's seen most things, jack of all trades, master of quite a few, and you're heading up the European, I've noted, Society of Association Executives.
Yes, that is a new assignment for myself now. I started working with them in 2009 as a board member, and we decided to move the ESAE, as we call them otherwise, now from London back to Brussels.
Okay.
And at the time I was changing myself professionally as well. I opened up my own company, and I thought I'd be heading the ESAE at the same time,
yes.
Take them on as client, base them in Brussels, where they're closer to the constituency as well,
yes.
and the community.
And the similarity of name with ASAE, yeah. Is that coincidental, or do you have a formal relationship?
We do have a formal relationship. We are not a sub-association of the ASAE. We have a formal relationship in that we share content, we work with each other as much as we can. John Graham, the president and CEO of the ASAE, is a board member of the ESAE. Our president is a board member of the ASAE as well, so we share a certain reciprocity as well.
But the ASAE is a bigger, relatively speaking, a bigger organization than the USA.
Much bigger, absolutely.
So far?
Yes, absolutely. Well, the ESAE has unfortunately been not too active in the past couple of years. We suffered a little bit from board membership renewals as well, okay. So a lot of the people that are currently in the leadership positions have been there for quite a few years, and it's about time that we changed now as well. Hence now the change management coming in. We need to renew, we need to freshen up the association a little bit and offer again more value also for the members that they haven't been getting.
So what is essentially the mission of that organization? What is it you achieve when you succeed?
It's basically generating a community of association professionals in the short term now in Brussels, but also obviously with an aim to fully reach out into Europe, to create a community of association professionals, have them network with each other, learn from each other, share knowledge. The ESA used to, for quite a while in fact, be involved with a certification program, ECAM, pretty similar to what the Americans have as the CAE. We haven't followed up on that one in the past couple of years, but we are going to look into that now again as well. So to also stabilize, should I say, and professionalize the association manager's position within the wider society. In Europe, unfortunately, as an association manager, you're very often sort of smiled at, yeah, okay, you're one of those non-profits, okay, it's definitely not serious business. So Europe still has to learn a little bit, and we're trying to educate the industry at large.
And we had a keynote speaker this morning. What did he say? Corporations are going to start being managed and look more like associations.
Well, I'm not quite sure if I share his opinion on that one, okay. But I certainly think this might be a very possible outcome in the future. Yes, absolutely.
But certainly, the complexity
yes, absolutely.
of associations is mirrored in corporations.
Yes, I mean, associations though especially in Europe, I find that they still suffer a little bit of the voluntary involvement, obviously, of the leadership. So voluntary involvement really requires a lot of resources and a lot of focus from volunteer leaders, in fact.
Yes.
Which, of course, in a corporation you wouldn't have that aspect of voluntary engagement too much. Even though also the speaker this morning was saying that, of course, more and more corporations would like to see voluntary engagement of their workers, but we also know why that happens as well, of course, because they want to maximize their returns as well. So it's all about that at the end of the day, I guess. But I definitely see also that the large multinational corporations will possibly take on a model that associations these days already have implemented, basically. And you do see a lot of the larger organizations to create chapters that are, or profit centers, in fact, or cost centers that are self-reliant and self-sustainable, in fact, and only report back up to leadership, a holding company or something. So a lot of the large companies definitely go through a change. Yes, absolutely. Yes, yeah.
And is your feeling that, you know, the life of associations now more than maybe over the past 20 years is facing big challenges?
Yes, definitely.
And what are these, you know, what are the key challenges of associations today?
Well, I think one of the challenges really is to implement a certain level of professionalism in the management of associations. Associations need to be managed more seriously. They need to be able to show their successes or their failures, in fact, in order to earn their position within the society, within also the constituencies that they serve. A lot of the members are very price conscious. They are very investment conscious as well. Paying a membership fee, they want to get a return from that. If they don't, they may lapse their membership fee next year and they will not come back. I've spoken to several people here at this event. A lot of them have said that yes, they were a member of another professional body. They didn't get anything out of it anymore, so they just dropped it and moved on and looked elsewhere. In fact, so associations do definitely face a lot of challenges in terms of trying to find adequate value to add to their programs, and of course for every association this will be something individual, something else. There's again, like measuring success for an association is not an easy task, because you will always have to put it somehow into the context, into the working context of that association. Whereas with corporate organizations, yes, an ROI is relatively easily measurable, calculated. No problem. For a non-profit association to calculate the SORI, the social return on investment, is a slightly more complex undertaking. And even like academic scholars these days also, they're trying to find certain common ground to establish common metrics in which to apply this concept now. They're struggling very much, and there's a lot of research going into that matter at the moment, into that topic.
But don't associations have their bottom line equivalent?
Oh, certainly, yes.
They're pretty clear in terms of their mission.
Yes.
They have a mission statement.
Yes.
Whatever they do must contribute to that mission.
Absolutely. But at the same
time,
time,
so what's so complicated about that? And the Cancer Society, whatever I do, my events must reduce cancer.
Sure. Exactly. Well, if
so
it were as easy as
yes,
absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. You're absolutely right there. I see a lot of the challenges actually arising out of the personal engagement of the people that are actually working for that goal, especially because we're talking about volunteers. Yeah. Sometimes volunteers have, especially in an economic climate like today, these volunteers also are, well, they're facing strained resources themselves. They may not be able to devote as much time as they would like to in these voluntary engagements. Leadership, possibly therefore also for association, may have to come more and more from a director, an executive director or secretary general of an association to show, to set an example, to show the other leaders of how a vision should be created, possibly. And these leaders, the board, will have to look at that person as well to learn from this person. There will have to be more of how should I say, an area where they find common interests and working with each other. A president of an association very often is there for a matter of a year, 2 years. Very often during that time, I said, we're all only human, but sometimes it happens so that this person may want to put a personal stamp on that year. And this may not necessarily always go in line with the overall purpose of the organization. And then it is up to the executive director to keep the person in line. And personal conflicts arise. It is not always easy when we're dealing, obviously, in interpersonal relationships like that. And everybody has certain expectations, managing expectations at the end of the day.
How big is the challenge from the new media? I mean, today I can get my professional community online, a bigger one, and maybe a more relevant one. Is that a big challenge, a big threat?
I think the challenge is not necessarily so much of actually doing it. The challenge is more like really like having an adequate strategy of how you want to utilize it. It is, again, what is it that you're trying to achieve? It's very easy, obviously, we all know our social media. It's very easy to set up an account and just be there. But you have to... Yeah, well, just a quick login and there you are, you know. But at the same time, you will have to provide relevant content so that you get hits on your Facebook page or your LinkedIn group or your Twitter pages. You will have to provide value again to those followers of yours. If you're not able to do that, it's resources spent on nothing. It doesn't work.
Finally, if you were to give one piece of advice to all those association managers out there, what would you say should be their primary focus?
I've been discussing that also earlier, in fact, and what I see very often, people do not plan themselves. They don't plan ahead. They don't prepare themselves for certain situations. They don't look ahead. They don't see the bigger picture. So it's very important to plan ahead, and at the end, when you have sort of reached a milestone, measure yourself. Try to benchmark yourself somehow. Find a way to measure your success, to show your success as well.
Plan and measure.
Yes.
Plan again, measure again.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now we have, thank you, you may leave now, and we leave the space for our next guest, which is Christine Sainvil. Please come and join me here.
Thank you. How are you?
You look lovely in your
Thank you.
bright
Trying to be.
red dress.
Yes, I'm adapting to the weather.
Yeah. Absolutely fabulous. Now, tell us a little bit first about yourself, and you work for the European Medical Technology Industry Association.
Yes.
Now that's a bit of a mouthful for starter. What is that association? Who are you?
Okay, well, I'm Christine Sainvil. I'm the compliance officer.
Yes.
I'm actually a consultant working independently, but on a project that is financed by EUCOMED, the European Association of Medical Technology.
So, how does European Society of Medical Technology become EUCOMED? It's just known as EUCOMED?
Yes, it's just known as EUCOMED. Yes.
Because it's not an acronym of the name.
It's not totally an acronym of the name.
Okay, so that's clarified that part.
Exactly.
Yeah, EUCOMED.
Indeed.
So the mission of EUCOMED is what?
So the mission is to promotion of medical technology to ensure that the innovation is being in a proper manner, that healthcare professionals master the appliance, the medical appliance, and that they can deliver safe care to patients.
Yes, and who are your members then? Is the medical technology
so our members are
providers?
Yes, so essentially corporates, manufacturers of medical devices, but also national associations. So we have 28 national associations, 62 corporate members, and we have what we call associate members, so that also benefit from the same benefits as our members that are in Russia, Turkey, and the Middle East.
It's a worldwide association,
yes.
European?
Well, we're getting expanding. We're focusing right now on Europe, but we're expanding with
your head office is in Europe.
Yes, in Europe, in Brussels. But we're expanding with this associate members. We're touching now at Russia, Turkey, and Middle East. Yes, yes, and we have our counterpart in the US called AdvaMed, actually.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. I was interested to talk to you because you are the compliance officer.
Yes.
Compliance is a big issue, has been for many years,
Indeed.
will remain for many years. It's one of our main topics tomorrow.
Yes.
You're going to speak there, I believe.
Exactly.
Tell us a little bit, what's the essential, for those who are not entirely involved in the current state of compliance in the medical industry, what are the essential issues?
So yes, as you say, it is a topic that has been ongoing, and we have seen it evolve more and more in the past years. So just to give you more of a concrete example, several companies in the medical device as well in the pharma have been brought under the spotlight recently because they have been judged to have had very unethical behavior regarding the healthcare professional, improper behavior. They have been exactly judged as corrupting. Could be perceived as also bribing the healthcare professionals into indulging them to purchase their devices. So we have seen a lot of cases. A breast implant is also a big case in that device. So there was a need for the industry to ensure that they have high ethical standards when they interact with healthcare professionals. So physicians, the need to educate the physicians is important, is crucial. So the doctors need to carry on to have their continuing medical education. We want them to be sure that when they're using a medical device, they know exactly what they're doing, how they need to.
I hope so when I get my pacemaker or whatever. Yes.
Exactly. That's not when you want to see a doctor opening a user guide and trying to understand how to deal with it. So medical the education is an important part, and it is important also to carry it in an ethical way. So that's where compliance comes in. It's to ensure that the interaction between the companies and the healthcare professionals are done in an ethical way, that companies are adhering to certain ethics, to certain standards, and certain proper behavior, not to jeopardize their integrity, but as well as the healthcare professionals' integrity.
So are the issues the same in medical device as in pharma? Is it the same thing, same regulations?
The regulations are not totally the same, but the issues of compliance and the necessity to regulate the interactions between the industry and the healthcare professional are there for both. The big difference between pharma and the medical device industry is that in the medical device industry, usually most of the innovations come from the healthcare professionals themselves. So they are the one.
The doctors are inventing the new gadgets.
Exactly. Where are the pills?
But obviously your members do have big research.
Yes, of course, research is an important part indeed. But the collaboration with the end user, that is actually the healthcare professional, is also important because they're the one that usually come and say, well, if you add a tweak here, then the device will function better. So there's a very tight collaboration, very close collaboration with the healthcare professional. Whereas in the pharma industry, it is a bit less relying on the healthcare professionals.
So what has happened in practice over the years? Let's look a little bit of history first. What are the practical changes that have taken place so far because of compliance becoming a bigger issue?
So of course there are a lot of countries that have adopted laws. So we have seen emerging a lot of regulations and laws in the US with the Sunshine Act. We have the UK Bribery Act, the Anti-Corruption Act, Sunshine Act now in France. So a lot of countries are adopting legislations. We have certain regulating bodies that have been put in place in certain countries, like in Belgium. We have MDN that regulates the interaction within the industry.
Is that a sort of a self-policing industry body?
Yes, exactly. So,
do the laws come into force because the industry doesn't manage to regulate itself?
Well,
generally speaking?
So it is because, of course, we have had a lot of abuse cases that put certain companies in several difficult positions. That, of course, there was a need to have this law more enforced and more imposed on certain area of the industries. But not every country has the law. Not every country has regulations.
So that makes it very complicated.
That makes it very complicated. And for Europe, we have the Code of Ethical Business Practice, and that's one of the major tool of EUCOMET as well. Is that they have defined the EUCOMET Code the Code of Ethical Business Practice.
So that's adopted by
many companies, many
all of your members.
Exactly, all of our members adhere to this code. It is mandatory for them to.
What does that code mean in practice that they can't do now, which they did before?
So the code is a set of documents that actually gives them provision on how the interaction again with the healthcare professional shall be conducted, whether it is for research, consultancy, whether it is for direct sponsorship of healthcare professional. So there are all these sets of rules on transparency, what is appropriate to do, gifts. So there are different rules and different aspects. The codes cover a very wide range aspect of this collaboration between.
So this is why medical congresses now are only in 4-star hotels.
Yeah, well, exactly. So one of the part
some of these four-star hotels are very luxurious, I found, actually.
Exactly. So this is one of the part of the code is the practical implementation of the code.
Yeah.
And this is where actually I come in play because
it's still interpretation.
Yes, exactly. I manage a conference vetting system that UCOMED has developed. So I'm actually an independent body, and I report to an independent compliance panel that is not part of the secretariat of UCOMED.
Audit and events?
So we assess third-party conferences, educational conferences, and we evaluate whether or not they are appropriate for companies, for our members, to sponsor a healthcare professional to attend. So the system is only focusing on the direct sponsorship of healthcare professionals that participate to the events, because they usually get finance to pay for the registration fee, the accommodation, the traveling. So in order to be sure that destinations are being chosen appropriately, that there are no extensive leisure entertainment provided, that there are in no possible way the possibility to judge that our members are bribing the healthcare professional or endorsing them in non-ethical behavior.
And are we totally satisfied now that we've got it all sorted, it's all ethical, or are still changes coming?
It's a learning process. It's a learning process regarding the conference system. We have been in action for a year now only, so we implemented the system not a year ago. So we're still learning, we're still communicating about it, we're still involving the stakeholders. So we're still refining a little bit how the system functions. But there are also other aspects that are coming into place. There's this, with the Sunshine Act, there's this transparency necessity as well that is coming into play. So where companies will have to report everything that they payments to exactly to the healthcare professionals. Exactly. So any value transfer that is between the industry and the healthcare professionals. So there are other things that are coming also into play that will make it maybe more stringent. The rules will be more stringent. It will be much more regulated on how the industry interacts with the HCPs, the healthcare professionals.
5 or maybe 10 years from now, say 5 years from now, will physicians still enjoy to be sponsored to travel to congresses, the registration fee,
yes.
Or is that soon going to be something of the past?
It is a huge question. It is a huge question, and it is a burning topic on the table, because we have two streams. We have companies that are members of UCOMED that do no longer directly sponsor healthcare professionals, so they have adopted more the US models where physicians don't get the direct sponsorship at all, but where we have still companies that still do, because as I said at the beginning, education is important, and we know that in certain area, physicians don't earn enough to be able to pay for themselves to participate in the congresses. So the support from the industry is still important. So we are actually looking at different alternatives, all the ways. UCOMED, the code also regulates the grants that are made for educational research and other aspects. So there are alternative ways, and we are working into it, and the compliance panel is working on a white paper identifying those different alternative funding mechanisms that are out there. So I don't have a definite answer to you on whether or not this will disappear, but definitely this is a topic of reflection, high reflection.
And if our remote participants stay with us tomorrow, they're going to learn a lot more about this.
Well, definitely, and that is the purpose.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. So welcome back to our studio. If you weren't here last time, I'm Elling Hamso from ROI Institute. And we've grabbed one of our speakers, just came out of the auditorium, Christoph Rodonat. Yes. Did I say that correctly? Rodonat?
Rodonat or Rodonat, yes.
That's what? French?
Yeah, it's a Huguenot name.
Organizational social responsibility and leadership development. That's some specialization, isn't it?
It is, yes. I mean, although a lot of these factors, of course, flow together into one.
And you speak on pricing, it doesn't you say pricing?
Yes, absolutely.
And your education goes along with it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I think the first time I've seen someone said, and he holds several degrees in social psychology, law, economics, and doing an MBA now in reputation management. You like studying? I do very much, in fact. I don't know what I would do without it, actually. It fills my days. Well, you're obviously someone who's seen most things, jack of all trades, master of quite a few, and you're heading up the European, I've noted, Society of Association Executives.
Yes, that is a new assignment for myself now. I started working with them originally, went over to Prussia, became German. So yeah.
So you're German.
I am German by passport, yes.
Okay. I think. Oh, by the way, I must say I did enjoy your presentation. It was very, very good. I must say, when I read the bump, it does rather seem like a contradiction of terms, because it says you're a specialist, but you're a specialist in change and reputation management.
In 2009, as a board member, and we decided to move the ESAE, as we call them otherwise, now from London back to Brussels.
Okay.
And at the time, I was changing myself professionally as well. I opened up my own company, and I thought I'd be heading the ESAE at the same time,
Yes.
take them on as client, base them in Brussels, where they're closer to the constituency as well,
Yes.
and the community.
And the